Welcome to Bake to the Future. The wholesale baking industry mixes tradition and innovation to feed the world and the economy, generating some major dough while employing nearly 800,000 people in the U.S. We bring you a fresh take on the latest trends and issues impacting the baking sector through exclusive insights and conversations. Brought to you by the American Bakers Association, who will take you bake to the future.
Hi, welcome everyone. I'm Haley Blumenreich.
And I'm Katie Jewell.
And today we are going to be talking about the future of the baking industry during and after coronavirus. And luckily today we have an expert with us today, Rasma Zvaners, who's the ABA's VP of Food, Technical, and Regulatory Affairs. So thanks for joining us, Rasma.
Oh, glad to help.
Can we ask where you're taking this call from?
If you really must know, I'm in a very small powder room.
Yes. I think we're all, I'm personally at the bottom of a closet. So, we're making it work here.
Yes, I am also in the bottom of a closet. But I think that just shows that, what we're trying to do here with Bake to the Future for the next several episodes and for the foreseeable future is to talk about the thing that everyone is talking about, and that is the coronavirus. And I think that right now, knowledge is power. And information is power in times when things are very uncertain. And that's why we are very lucky to have Rasma on the show, because she does have a lot of knowledge and she works very closely with food technical and food safety experts in the field and with our members. And so, Rasma, can you give us a little bit of a look behind the curtain as to what you've been working on with our members?
Thanks, Katie. I think, if someone would have told me that I'd be sitting today in a powder room talking about how dramatically things have changed in less than a month or just about a month, I think I would have sort of been, what sort of story is that? We have seen so many dramatic changes nationwide for a variety of sectors. Everyone is in a shelter in home or stay at home mode. Schools have been closed for the near term. And, our industry continues to be very engaged in helping bring consumer product to the shelves. We are considered essential. And I think probably near the end of February, my day-to-day changed very significantly as far as what was expected and how much I've been engaging with our members who are on the front lines as we watch this whole process evolve.
So what are some of the things, you've been working on this now for several weeks. We've really been in the thick of it for a while. How have you seen the members' needs evolve with that?
So I think a lot of it, if you think about from my perspective, which is focusing on food safety and the responsibilities and requirements that come with that role, most of our bakers are already doing that on a day-to-day basis. Each facility is working through their good manufacturing practices, and more recently, with the new Food Safety Modernization Act and the implementation of all of the regulations that stem from that, our bakers have food safety plans in place, and each one of those plans should account for different types of scenarios that a baker may have to think about, be it a tornado or another weather event, or in this case, dealing with a type of infection or virus. So I think from that perspective, all of those things have been put in play, and now it's a really good opportunity to watch them engage and move through the process with ABA trying to assist as best we can.
Do you think that this will make any of those regulations that are in place change, or do you really feel like they are holding up and there won't be modifications moving forward post COVID-19?
I wish I could, hindsight's always 20/20, but I think It'll be a good test of the system. I mean, the preventive controls rule, which is the basis for what all of the food sector is doing right now, is a good landscape that we can start from. That doesn't mean to say that when we get on the other end of this, there may be, look back opportunities to improve upon that. But I think what's been key, and just where I've been engaging with the members, is just ongoing communication within, the companies, ongoing communication with their state and local officials as needed, depending on where they're located. And then just trying to make things run as smoothly as you can, not really knowing the fluidity of the situation or how things are changing day to day.
So people overall are pretty understanding of the fluidity of this situation then?
I think so. I think, we have a lot of fantastic bakers that have been pretty much put into a crisis management mode, which means that each of them has been working with their, crisis contingency plan, working with the different people that have been delegated to assist with that. They are doing the best that they can, and they keep, us engaged as necessary, or also come to us as ABA to, if they need to seek clarification or they're seeing something where they may need additional guidance, either from FDA or CDC, that we're trying to serve as a conduit to get from point A to point B for them.
Do you have any stories of different anecdotes you've heard from members? You don't have to be specific with anybody in particular, with, some questions that you fielded that might be beneficial for others to learn from?
I think a lot of it, we've had a lot of really good positive feedback from all of the members on the resources that ABA has put together on its website. I know there's also been a bit of frustration from some that, a lot of these documents change. Some of the guidance that we've put up, with understanding that it's information and each company needs to make the specific decisions on how they're going to move forward. But I do, it's kind of a mixed bag. I get well, we just update, you just sent an updated version of that 2 days ago and now it's changed again. But I think, the learning there is that this is a fluid process. The Center for Disease Control, CDC, and FDA are learning new things every day. And I think as a food sector, we're just trying to move forward in an environment where there's not a lot of certainty about how this is going to look, say, 2 weeks from now, or, even several months from now.
Has there been any surprises or unexpected things? Obviously, this whole crisis is unexpected, but just kind of in your work, any surprising things or small little things that have happened that have made you excited or surprised?
I have to I need to think about that one a little bit, but I think, before coming to the baking sector, I had always been told that they're a phenomenal group of companies that work together and pull together in tight times. And in particular, in previous years, when there have either been significant hurricanes or storm damage, I think about Katrina, where the bakers that were on site had some challenges. The others in the nearby communities came in to help, and I do see that in a bigger sense, because I feel that there's an awful lot of camaraderie right now, and the willingness to communicate with one another. If someone may not have the answer, then to say, hey, does someone else have a recommendation? One of the bigger challenges I think that everyone outside of even the food sector is dealing with is, some of the personal protective equipment. And I think of some of our first responders that are, right there in the thick of it. But I do feel that there's an element of everyone wanting to come together and to work as best we can coherently through this whole process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of, you see that within the baking industry, within the whole supply chain, food manufacturing, and really just all Americans in general.
Yeah, because I think, and I even think a little bit in my local community, how much things have changed in the past couple of weeks. So, when I go to one of our larger retail bulk places to purchase things now, where, things were just normal, like at this past weekend when I went in, they already had plexiglass put up where their cashiers were. So I think there's this ability for us to all come together and be nimble and responsive in light of a pretty significant crisis.
And so your sector is in the food safety realm, and I know that we've talked a lot about, or I know in my role in the communications arm of ABA, there's been a lot of questions about food supply, and there's starting to be questions about food safety. Is there anything that customers of the baking industry should be aware of about food and the ability or not ability to pass this virus on via food? Do you know anything about that?
FDA has very clearly articulated on numerous occasions, and their website has a lot of good Q&As for the food sector. The food supply is safe. It's easy to perhaps get caught up in some of the things that you may read somewhere that aren't thoroughly sourced or further evaluated. Good sources like the Food and Drug Administration, the CDC, they have a lot of good resources, and all of those sources are saying that your food supply is safe.
That is comforting to hear. I know I've seen several things pop up on my social media feed about, cleaning your groceries and wiping things down. And I know, having read all of the CDC resources and the FDA resources, it just seems like it isn't really science-backed information, which is something I know that we really strive for. So, Rasma, is there anything else that you think would be comforting for our members to hear at this point? Anything that you've kind of felt along this journey, and what we might continue to expect, what we might foresee in the future, either with what ABA is doing or what our members might have to deal with from a food safety perspective?
Sorry, Katie, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but
That's
I think from a food safety perspective, we I'll leave you with this, with the understanding that I don't think any of us really knows what the next 30 days are going to look like, let alone the next couple of weeks. But, our companies are working diligently with their crisis communications and their crisis management teams internally. Our companies are doing the best that they can and continuing to keep their employees aware and continue to keep them educated. Simple reminders like just general hygiene, cover your cough or your sneeze, avoid touching your face. Hand washing, as we talked about that a little bit before, is key for a lot of different venues, be it, if you're in a manufacturing location or elsewhere. Sanitation and making sure that our bakers are being more frequent with some of that cleaning, and in particular more with some of the common areas. So your break rooms, lunchroom, doorknobs, railings, and so forth. And then just overall, encourage communication through your employees and with your management within the companies themselves. I think, Katie, you started this off by saying that knowledge is power. And I think in this sort of an environment, the more we know, the better off we are.
I think that's a great way to conclude our conversation with you, just on all about knowledge is power. And I think that this podcast and our conversation will help our members understand more about food safety and the coronavirus. So thank you for coming on.
Glad to do it.
Bake to the Future is brought to you by the American Bakers Association in partnership with Human Factor. To hear upcoming and past episodes, go to baketothefuture.org. Bake to the Future is produced by Haley Blumenreich. Audio engineer is Blake Alton. And A Slice of the Action is written by the American Bakers Association's Government Relations team.